What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades we have taken today inside the Discord, as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. So today was a bit of a weird day because of the fib levels. So if you guys remember from yesterday, I told you guys there's some confusion with it, and then today decided to go back to what I originally went with yesterday. So before we even go into anything, when it comes to these fib levels, this is the current ones that I'm rocking and what I had for today. I ended up changing these back a little bit after open. I think like after the first 30 minutes, I ended up changing them back. So this is what the current fib levels are. I ended up putting the 100% at this low, 0% at this high up in here. And yeah, that's the current fib levels, just to clear that up because it was a little confusing the last 2 days. But this is what I'm going with for the levels. But when it came to price action today, this is what we looked like. So on the option charts yesterday, we ended up closing at a very, very key spot, 30-minute 50 on the call side. You guys know this is a pivot point in the market, and look what happened. Then at marking the top, I didn't take any trades off of this. It just the 30-minute charts just give you a very good visual representation of where we're at and what the market's currently looking like, where we're most likely to go next. So knowing we end up closing at that 50, more likely we were gonna see a drop off of it. You kind of have to be like, okay, it's a if this happens then you do this pretty much. So if we reject, okay, probably gonna be a put cross tomorrow, and you could take that. If we break and cross on the 30-minute, okay, probably get some sort of long either on the 0DT chart, or we break out on the fibs and get a long off the fib levels. So it's it's very easy system in my opinion to follow. You just have to see it happen throughout the day live, and there's really nothing you could do besides just practice and just look at these charts every day. So yeah, that was pretty much what we looked like today. Closed at the 30-minute 50. We're neutral on the premiums here. Put side obviously ended up coming up in this 50 today. Didn't cross, but that's what we ended up looking like. And then the 0DT chart. So this actually was a really nice trade. I didn't get an entry on it though. The put cross right here, very, very nice. So right up in here, this candle was just too explosive at 10:20. The open of that closed at 10:25. It was just a little too extended from the SMAs for my liking. It's like almost 40-50% from the 50. So it was too far from the 50. I did see it during this candle. I really wanted to enter. I saw it at 145, 150, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait for the candle close. And obviously we ended up just getting a solid drop. So unfortunately wasn't able to catch that. That gave a solid move. So when it came to the fib levels today, I didn't actually end up doing anything. So what we had here was to start the day, the 100% was actually at the top, 0% was at the bottom. So if we look here, I'm gonna try to find the screenshot I had. Let me find it here. I'm just gonna drag it over. This is the fibs that we went with. So I'm gonna drag it over. So this is the fib levels we end up having, and with these levels, the 38.2, 61.8 is the current range. If we broke below 68.12, we're in shorting the rip mode. So we ended up breaking below that 68.12. So what you do is flip the 100% and put it at the bottom. 0% goes at the top. Because when we are shorting rips, the 100% is always at the bottom, and when we're buying the dip, the 0% is always at the top. So yeah, we ended up flipping the levels, and rest of the day was pretty slow. So if we look here, even on the 5-minute, you can see after we ended up breaking below 68.12, which was down in here, really no retest of the level until later in the day. And by this time, I was already done for the day. It's getting late in the day. This wasn't a trade I wanted to take. And also with how the weeklies looked, it wasn't my favorite, but I think the next week's contracts were crossed. But I was just going off of this week's. When we look on the 30-minute here, we were up in some key resistance areas here: 1 hour 50, 2 hour 50, and then I'm not sure where the 4 hour. 4 hours a little bit higher, but we hadn't crossed yet on the 30-minute. So staying out of the market today, very, very good decision in my opinion. But yeah, we did not end up doing anything today, and that was pretty much what the day was. If we end up popping up into this level maybe a little bit quicker, I would have taken a stab at it. But really, when we are when the 30-minute chart isn't in line with what I think where we're going based on the option charts, that's kind of where I stay out. I don't really care to force a trade when the 30-minute charts are in line and the fibs are in line with where I'm thinking we're going. That's like the A+ setup. And then obviously 0DT crosses you could take. You kind of ignore the fibs, honestly, when it comes to taking the 0DT crosses, because I think today we were at a fib off of open, and that's where the put cross ended up happening at. So, you know, whenever there's a cross happening near a fib, most likely that fib is probably going to break. So that's kind of your, you know, sign to, you know, take the cross. And that's kind of what I see that does happen a lot when we do go and break a fib. And 0DT chart setting up, that's kind of the opportunity where, okay, we're probably going to break the fib and actually get a solid move out of this and break below it. So 0DT cross is a good one to trade from there. But yeah, today was a very simple day. We didn't do anything, wasn't anything of interest. So I ended up setting out going into tomorrow now. We are going to be getting new contracts, so I'm going to flip to the 675 puts because that is what we had. These are actually the wrong contracts. I think it's these ones. Nope, that's the 20th. My bad. What other one do we have here? Should be one of these ones down here for next week, right? The 13th. Yeah, so this is what next week's look like. So this is another important, you know, part with the fibs. I'll go over it because people always get confused on this. So when it comes to changing the fibs, this is what's going to happen tomorrow. So this 30-minute chart actually ended up crossing today. Not sure how we're going to open tomorrow, but if we do end up, you know, being green and we cross negative on this chart here, whatever the puts are, if we cross negative, okay, we will be going neutral. What happens when we go neutral? There's a new range that's developed. So wherever we are when that 30-minute crosses down is the new range. So if I had to guess, it's probably going to be between 68.13, 68.71. We'll have to see, but that's most likely the scenario where we're going to cross negative, where that 30-minute chart, 10 SMA crosses below the 50. That means we're neutral, and then the new range will be wherever we are between the two fib levels. So then from there, you wait for a break of the range. If we break higher, we change the fibs. If we break lower, we keep the fibs how they are. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works with that. When it comes to the changing the pivots now, the 100% and the 0% are going to flip if we break higher. So 100% is going to come up here, 0% is going to stay down here. Only reason it's staying down here is because this really, there was no trend developed off of this move. I'm not going to use this low pivot. Makes no sense to use it. We barely got any cross from it. But what we're going to do is that, you know, that 30-minute crossing positive, then crossing negative is going to establish the new neutral range. So it's not going to change this bottom pivot. All it's doing is going to flip the 100% and 0% if we do break out higher. So that's kind of how I'm going to go about tomorrow. If we remain crossed on the 30-minute, okay, very simple day. We're going to be looking for shorts. So pretty much if we do, you know, end up dropping tomorrow, then we'll probably get a break back below 68.13. Look for a short off of that level. And you know, or we get a 0DT put cross, whatever kind of trade setups first, that's kind of the one you could take. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the game plan going into tomorrow. And of course, if we break out higher, we're gonna be looking for longs. 0DT call cross also works. You know, with that 30-minute chart crossing negative, you could take a call cross if it does, you know, show itself. And then from there, if we break out higher, look for some sort of dip on the fibs after we get the new, after we flip the 0 and 100%. So yeah, very simple game plan. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a sub if you're new. And yeah, I'm out.